that this judge's daughter is a big-time radical left-wing Democrat operative who runs a business that raises money, campaign money, for candidates on the Democrat side. And then goes one step further the other day. He expands his gag order to cover his daughter. Donald Trump is not allowed to attack his daughter, even though she's raising money for Democrats, attacking him and relating to the case that her father is overseeing. Have you ever seen anything as sleazy as this? Donald Trump revealed, at least to me, and I looked at it further, that the judge in this case, Juan Merchan, he's an elected Democrat hack, as all these lower court, so-called Supreme Court justices. In New York, they just have it backwards. They call these people Supreme Court. It's the lowest trial court. They get elected. And this guy was elected in these Democrat areas. So what do they need to do? They need to produce. They need to deliver, right? Donald Trump. Again, that's why I've never supported electing judges. I support term-limited appointments. Term-limited, at least at the federal level. So Donald Trump puts comments on social media, makes comments, and this judge issues a very broad gag order, says, you know what, you're not going to do that. Why? Because you're going to create violence, you're encouraging intimidation. Now, let me stop you right there. The Supreme Court has said it on the face of the Constitution. Everybody has a First Amendment right, especially somebody who's in the government dock. That is, somebody who they want to put into prison and take their freedom away. Under those circumstances, of course they have a right to speak, number one. Number two, the Supreme Court says if there is to be a gag order, you have to have something more than suspicion of the creation of you need to have something material, something substantive. Of course, they don't. Donald Trump did not threaten violence or urge violence against anybody. Against anybody. He's been very harsh in his criticism. He's allowed to be. So now, according to the legal analysts, who really don't care about the law, they're just out to get Trump too, when he criticized the judge's daughter, he went way out of bounds, and some of the boneheads at MSNBC said the judge should throw Trump in jail. I mean, this shows you how crazy these bastards are. So Trump points out, and others have now followed up, that this judge's daughter is a big-time radical left-wing Democrat operative who runs a business that raises money, campaign money, for candidates on the Democrat side. And she has raised millions and millions of dollars for Chuck Schumer's PAC and millions of dollars for Adam Smith's Senate campaign. And that's bad enough, is it not? And in the course of that, the fundraising, she has used this case with Alvin Bragg and Donald Trump as a fundraising tool. In other words, referencing it in the fundraising materials. The judge is her father. The judge is her father. That's not only an appearance of a conflict, that's a real live conflict. You're using information from the trial, or will be trial, that your father is overseeing to raise money for Democrats. So if the judge had dismissed the case, she wouldn't have been able to do that. Now, would she, guys? And then goes one step further yesterday. He expands his gag order to cover his daughter. Donald Trump is not allowed to attack his daughter, even though she's raising money for Democrats, attacking him and relating to the case that her father is overseeing. Have you ever seen anything as sleazy as this? And again, the icing on the cake is his gag order is expanded to protect his daughter from criticism by Trump. Now, I took a very, very quick look before the program began at the New York Judicial Rules of Conduct. And of course, it talks about a conflict. It talks about you're not supposed to handle a case in any way that benefits you or a spouse or a family member, and it goes on and on. And I'm sure there's a section in there, I didn't have time to look at it, but I guarantee it, there always is, even for lawyers, let alone judges who are lawyers, of an appearance or reality of a conflict. Now, what I would encourage the president's lawyers to do, and they may well be doing it, is immediately go to the appellate court, condemn what this judge has done under the rules of conduct for judges in New York and insist that he be removed from the case. And I would simultaneously bring a First Amendment action, a free speech action, in federal court. And you probably would have to go straight to the Supreme Court on that, since the trial court is not a federal trial court, and so the appellate court doesn't really have any role. You can't just go to the appellate court that oversees legal issues relating to the trial court. It is a federal constitutional issue of the first order and of first impression involving a former president during an election. And so there you might want to go straight to the Supreme Court. So the First Amendment and the rules of judicial conduct, to me, are in play. And I would immediately bring that. Now, interestingly enough, you also have other incidents involving this Judge Merchan, which, depending on how they write it, could be relevant to the request to have him removed. But you don't want to pile on too much, because then some justice or judge might hang on to one of the other two pieces and say that doesn't meet the standard. But the point I'm making is the U.S. Attorney's Office dumps 100,000 pages of documents on Trump's lawyers 30 days before the case is to start. Now it's going to start April 15th, they say. And so Trump's lawyers say to the judge, hello, we need some time to go through all those pages, and we may want to call additional witnesses, and we may want to pursue various investigative activities on behalf of the defense. And he says, the judge, essentially, well, it's not Mr. Bragg's fault, the DA, it's the U.S. Attorney's fault. And Bragg says that there's only 100 or 200 relevant documents, I forget the number. And therefore, we will proceed, and the case will proceed by April 15th. Now, this is a week ago, so basically giving them 3 weeks. 3 weeks. It doesn't matter if it was Bragg or not. That goes to a different issue, whether Bragg should be punished for withholding documents in some way by the court. And I don't mean his license, I mean some kind of in-court contempt or whatever it is. But it doesn't matter. The U.S. Attorney's turned over these documents to the DA. The DA's making it known. The DA doesn't get to decide if there's only 100 or 200 relevant documents. He doesn't represent the defense. He represents the enemy of the defense. He's the government. And so why didn't Judge Merchan give them what they wanted, which I think was 90 days? Because he's in a rush. Why is he in a rush? Because he's got a perfect jury that he wants to set up with a perfect prosecutor. And in a so-called crime that is so obtuse that he only needs the jury to look at Trump and to conclude, we want to convict this guy. There's 34 counts. You only need one. And so this judge, given his politics, his daughter's politics, and so forth, this is why I say, what is he doing there? This case should have been dismissed right at the beginning as a meritless lawsuit in the middle of an election involving a former president of the United States that was turned down by 3 other potential prosecutorial offices, including the commission that oversees the entire federal election law in Washington, D.C., including the U.S. Attorney. He's responsible, she's responsible for enforcing or not federal finance law, not a DA. And so this guy, Merchan, was not persuaded about any of it. He stays on the case. He expands his gag order to protect his daughter, not protect her from violence, protect her from scrutiny by the defendant whose life was on the line. And this is just appalling to me, absolutely shocking to me.
Want to see more Mark Levin? Go to LevinTV.com and subscribe now.